What is going on, YouTubers? It is Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you guys for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. Can't tell behind me, I did a mow yesterday. Did the same pattern we did previously on the first mow video, and we really burned in the stripes, I feel like, on this last mow. So you can check that out and you'll be able to see it during the course of the video. Today, guys, I really want to get into weeds. Mr. Kevin had commented on the last video about this, and I'm seeing it in my yard. I think it's about time to do a spray for weeds, for pop-up broadleaf weeds and other weeds that we're seeing around the lawn. I'll show you a few of what I'm seeing here in Central North Carolina. Somebody made a great point. I believe it may have been Elevated Lawns did a video. He's a great guy. I enjoy his content. He does a great job doing videos over there. He talked about with your pre-emergent, for those guys that are up north, if you've already got some existing weeds in your lawn, with your pre-emergent, you could consider mixing in some herbicide, something like a Speed Zone or something that would handle the weeds as you put down your pre-emergent. That's an excellent idea if you want to blanket spray herbicide on your lawn. That's going to be different per homeowner, obviously. Some people don't like the use of a lot of chemicals. Some people are like, screw it, I don't want any weeds in my lawn. So it depends, but it is something that they had mentioned, so you may want to consider that. I'm just going to go around and show you the few of the weeds that I'm seeing. Obviously, you guys have seen the Poa triv and the Poa annua. We're not going to beat that dead horse up, but I want to show you some of the stuff I'm seeing in my lawn, and then we'll continue this video tomorrow with an actual herbicide, and I'll show you what I use and why I use it, and we'll spray some weeds and hopefully give you an update on that as we go. So we'll walk through a freshly mowed fescue lawn here, as you can see behind me, and check out some of the weeds in my lawn. So before we go marching through the lawn, let me just take a minute and just observe the beauty of a nicely striped lawn. As I mentioned before on the last video, the first time we stripe it, it's okay. We're getting our first mow in, and that's great. But now we went over top the existing stripes, and we really put the stripes down hard now. So it makes a big difference, and you can even see over here, you can tell to the left over here. I want to start here by the shed, because this weed I've seen pop up. I can't remember exactly all the places where I see weeds. I see it while I mow, and then I forget about it. Number one, I got a ton of gumballs. As you guys can see right here, I got tons of gumballs down here. Not as many as I used to get. We cut down a lot of trees over here back in the day, and we used to have gumballs everywhere. Not so much now. I'm just going to kind of deal with them until they kind of go away or fade away or whatever. I may have to get out here and rake at some point, but with the stripes, I don't want to mess it up. So that's one thing. Can't spray anything for gumballs, obviously, but yeah, gumballs are everywhere. It just feels ugly under your feet, feels nasty. This section has surprised me. Before we get into weeds, you know, this is the Jonathan Green section. We put mostly Jonathan Green over here. For any new people, we got, you know, obviously we're winter. Technically, we may still be in winter. We have no leaves up here, so we're getting a lot of sunlight over here. But as soon as the leaves start coming up, this becomes a real shady area. And so we did shade mix over here, and it's not livened up. It looks like it's finally, as I look at it, it's starting to grow a little bit, but it's been real dormant over here. And back here, I don't know if this is from throwing a lot of stuff in the woods, but we got a lot of nasty weeds. You can see the color difference too. And that's a good example of your fescue versus your Poa annua. Just look at that color difference. The darker green fescue good grass versus weedy Poa annua junk back there. And this is one of the weeds I'm seeing. And I don't know if you guys are seeing this as well. I have no idea. I'm not good at weed identification, but these little things right here that just look like if you run over them, they're just going to spread. I don't know if that's the case, but you can get a sense of the junk that's just popping up over here. So most of the time I'll come over here at the end of spring, like this is kind of where I want the lawn to end. I'll spray all this mess with glyphosate and just kill it and get rid of it so it doesn't spread any further. Looks like we got a little, man, I ain't seen one of these in my lawn, I don't think ever. I don't even know really what that is. I just know we used to take them and blow on them, so that's not good. But more of this is the kind of weed I'm seeing. These little, I don't know, it's almost like a desert-like weed. So I'm definitely going to hit all this with some Speed Zone, likely is what we'll use tomorrow. But seeing a lot of that, so it's just a lot of ugliness. But it's mainly in areas, obviously this is where We've got a lot of junk and a lot of stuff over here, a lot of clover over here. I see a lot of this every year. I don't even know really what it is. It's just like a clovery type deal going on back here, but this is to get a sense of just what's growing here. This guy I've seen and elsewhere as well. It don't look like Creeping Charlie, but I've seen Creeping Charlie, and there's a lot of clover mess. So I'll hit all of this with some of the Speed Zone just to knock it out, and we don't want it to spread into the lawn. There's our favorite spreader for those that love Scots like me. Yeah, there he is, sitting under the canopy here, enjoying his day in the shade. And while we're on the topic of weeds, let me just mention, as I always do, because we got a lot of beginners that is just starting in lawn care and maybe don't know this stuff. You notice you don't see a lot of, even though I just mowed yesterday, you're not gonna see a lot of weeds in the actual lawn. And the biggest thing you can do that I've learned and that others have mentioned to me that it seems to be true is the thicker that your lawn is, and as you go on and you survive summers and you continue to mow and you thicken up your lawn through the spring, weeds can't penetrate. Obviously, pre-emergent has a lot to do with that as well. We put down pre-emergent, we're mowing, we have a thick stand of turf, then weeds aren't going to pop up as much in our actual lawn. It's everywhere where we're not laying down pre-emergent and where there is room for things to come up that you're going to find a lot of your weeds. So just don't be discouraged if you've yet to do that fall seeding. Maybe you're like me, it's spring, you're getting out there with what you have and you're like, oh my gosh, I got weeds everywhere. Well, once you plant that fescue seed in the fall, if fescue is what you're going with and it thickens up real well, you won't have as much, and then putting pre-emergent on that, you'll be fine. But in like areas like this, I've showed this to you guys before, Poa annua pops up, some of the seed, you know, I didn't overseed this year, but sometimes when you overseed, you may have some little fescue germinate off in the mulch area. This looks terrible right now. I got a grill that's not working, I got to get rid of. We had plants back here, not sure what we're gonna do. We need to freshen this up once we get more into spring, but you'll see some of the weeds down here. I'm not going to spray any of this. Clearly it's Poa annua. That needs to be Roundup or something similar. But you'll have some stuff over here. But little things like this guy right here, that Speed Zone will just destroy stuff like that. So we'll mix up a good batch of that tomorrow. And you'll notice obviously the holes and the seed that I got going on here. But off to the side, here's more of that little clovery type stuff. It looks like it already got hit with something, but I haven't sprayed anything recently. But we're gonna hit some of this just to clean up our edges and the clover. Not 4-leaf clover. I'm not lucky enough to get 4-leaf clover, but a little bit of clover and stuff like that. And then our weed beds, our flower beds. Here we go. This is something else that is coming up in the turf right on the edge along my sidewalk right here. So I believe this is Creeping Charlie, if I'm not mistaken. But if we can remember and we see this guy, we can blast him with some Speed Zone. It'll kill it super, super easy. So the last thing I'll point out, because I don't want to bore you guys have seen weeds, is obviously if you're new, you want to kind of walk your lawn. You want to go up and down looking, obviously when we have product in a backpack sprayer. And remember, we don't want to round up the yard, so let's not do that. But let's put something that's going to be a selective herbicide. It's going to select weeds to kill. It's not going to hurt your good grass. It's only going to hurt harmful grass. But I did want to point out along the road, you guys that have stuck with the channel for a while, you guys know that I dug some of this out last year, and I just want to point out right now, it was definitely this section right here because it's fully fescue and it's looking great and it's thick and it's come in. Everywhere else, Poa annua's come in. It's weird on the edge. We've got Poa, we've got just nastiness all along the edge, and it's right on the road. So just the short summary of this is the concrete and the rocks go down like, I don't know, just it extends out probably where the rope is. So it comes out this way. We did an experiment and I dug down right here about 12 inches or so. I put in fresh dirt, planted seed, and it's coming in fine because the roots have somewhere to go. All along my road, it would probably be wise for me just to take some Roundup right along the edge of the road and just make it look better, but I just let it do what it's going to do. During the spring and summer, you guys will see that fade over, but it's expected because it's a bunch of rocks. It doesn't have good dirt for the grass to go down in. So all in all, you get the idea. We've got a few weeds, so we're going to mix up a little bit of Speed Zone. We'll go around with the camera and we will just take out some of the weeds that we see. That, you know, obviously, again, Poa annua is not one of those that we can use Speed Zone on, but anything that we showed you, the clover, these little broadleaf weeds, these little what I call desert looking weeds with seed heads, we definitely want to hit and handle those, and we'll handle anything in the little bush beds as well. So we'll catch up in the morning when we're ready to spray our herbicide on the weeds. So guys, last night we got a major thunderstorm came through at 4 o'clock. I remember looking at the clock around 4 o'clock. It felt like lightning struck these trees. Like it was a loud thundering sound. So big storms came back. It is completely mushy out here. The rain did make, it seems like the rain makes the grass look even darker and better. But I just walked down to the shed and it's mushy. So we're not going to do any spraying today. I don't want to do it when the grass is all wet. I'd rather do it when it's dry. So I will hold off on actually doing the physical spraying that we had planned today. But I'll just talk about what I use. Many of you have heard of Speed Zone, and this is Speed Zone right here. It is a selective herbicide. It's got 28.5% 2,4-D. As you may be able to see right there on the label. You can pause it or look it up if you want to, but that is what makes this very good. It's a high amount of 2,4-D, where if you go into some of your Lowe's, Home Depots, and look at some of the Weed B Gon and things like that, the 2,4-D is much less in the amount that's in there. It's much smaller, and therefore you need more product to spray to do what this is, a higher concentrate of 2,4-D. That's why it's more recommended. Now, all of the other things that you see under 2,4-D, I'm not aware of what that is. I probably should take the time to look it up. What I have heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, maybe some vets can comment below, that Speed Zone is better in the cooler, like early spring and later fall months. Something like Speed Zone is better just because of the cooler temperatures. And when I read that, I decided to look up, well, what's better in the warmer summer, spring, summer, late summer. And there's another product called Triplet, and I bought this a long time ago. And this has 30.56 of 2,4-D. And so there you go. And I heard that Triplet is better for in the warmer months. It reacts and it kills in the warmer months. So those are the two herbicides I use. That's the only two weed killing things I use. As I mentioned yesterday, when you first plant in fall and you really get a thick set of turf, you're not going to have a ton of weeds, because previously, before I got into lawn care and got a weed-free GCI type seed to plant in my lawn, I had weeds coming up. I didn't know anything about prodiamine, pre-emergent, dithiopyr, whatever. I didn't know anything about pre-emergent, didn't know anything. I had crabgrass, I had weeds all over. Once I learned what pre-emergent does, once I planted some good quality turf and thickened up, and we survived last summer with all of the fescue you see behind me. We did not overseed this backyard. This is all from 2 years ago, which gets me excited, because finally, after 3 years, last year we made it through an entire North Carolina summer with this turf, and it's only getting deeper roots and more in the ground and sustained so that it can survive this coming summer, hopefully. The front yard, we didn't make it as much. Some of that died off. We overseeded there. So where you have the weaker spots in your lawn, you'll see weeds pop up. And pre-emergent is not you'll never have a weed in your lawn. As we talked about yesterday, you'll see them on your rock beds, on your mulch beds, in your driveway, on the edges of your concrete where you may have missed your pre-emergent or spraying. So just keep that in mind. But those are the two that I've used ever since I got into lawn care. Let me know what you use below. I recommend something like this because of the high 2,4-D. You only need about 1.5 ounces per gallon of this, and a gallon is a lot of weed killer for a lawn like myself and others. Now back here on the woods and stuff, I will walk the edge, and back here I will, like all of this mess that we talked about by the shed, I will mix up 1 gallon, and then everything I do in the lawn I'll take care of first, and in the rock beds, and then I'll go down here by the shed and take care of that. And maybe even at some point I do Roundup to take care of some of that POA down there by the woods. So that's all we'll cover today. It's a Friday video. Thank you guys for tuning in and taking the time. So weed killer, let me know if you're killing weeds. Let me know if you guys are still locked up north in the houses. It's 70 today, but it's moist and wet and everything, so I'm going to eat and go for a walk here in a second. But thank you for tuning into this video. Thank you for checking it out. Check out Speed Zone if you never used it. Works very well, and so does I always forget it. Triplet. I always forget Triplet's name. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. God bless.